iRacing right now.
He's got traction, he's going around the outside of both of them! Maloney!
Oh, he's taken Anderson! Anderson's up to
Oh my God! Big crash! Oh my goodness, half the field's going to get rolled!
Second very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly.
Oh, there we go!
Oh no! That's massive! This is it! This is over! I can't believe this! Oh my God!
God, what?
Welcome one, welcome all to a very special SimSpeed TV presentation this Thursday night. It was a rollicking round last Thursday, and we go through to round 2 of the ASC series, the Premier Sprint Car Championship in the OzNZ SimSphere, presented by Oceanic Dirt Sim Events. For SimSpeed TV, my name is Reese Gardner. Jay Kennedy joins me in the commentary box and is on cameras. Jay, my goodness, it was a great round last week, but now we move to the Speedway Cathedral of Eldora. I'm really looking forward to seeing how this night goes.
100%. It's going to be great fun. What a track this is to go to as well. One of the most enjoyable tracks to watch. I know drivers are very 50-50 on it. They absolutely love it or they absolutely hate it, but what that means is we're going to see a really, really good show. And we're probably going to see a little bit of a messed up field too, which adds a little bit of extra spice, which I'm looking forward to as well.
Yeah, exactly right. It was already a bit spicy last round at Volusia Speedway Park, and it certainly resulted in a championship standings that we weren't quite expecting. Richie McLeod taking the win in the feature means that he's going to be leading the championship as we take a look at the location of Eldora Speedway, right there in the United States Midwest in the state of Ohio. And you go further and further in and you'll be able to see this magnificent 500, 800 meter long oval. Very high banked, very quick, very wide is Eldora. Half a mile long. It's been around for over 60 years now, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how it turns it up tonight. Couple of interesting elements about the track. It's got that wider front stretch that you can see by the main grandstand. That's certainly going to allow for a couple of moves up the inside. But largely, this track is completely flat out the whole way round in a 410 sprint car when the track is good.
Yeah, exactly right, which means at the start the guys are going to be racing or driving very, very different towards the end of the night when the sun just starts to set as well, which also changes how the track behaves as well. So it's going to be a really interesting night of racing, and there's going to be a lot of drivers too that are looking for a bit of redemption too after an absolutely unsuccessful night last week. The likes of David Heilemann will be looking for a much better result. Hayden Cardwell will also be looking for a much better result. I was just looking to see if we had Zach Novak back, but he hasn't returned after his real big disappointing run last week. So a few drivers that will be looking for redemption, and I know that Joel Berkeley will be looking for a much easier run to the front of the field than what he had last week, because he did it the absolute hardest possible way and still come home with the second place.
Absolutely. Joel Berkeley sitting second in the drivers' standings after that round once, of course, starting at the back in the feature and pulling off a titanic run to secure that second place behind Richie McLeod. And wow, I really hope that he is able to start from a better position in the feature this time around. I'm also disappointed to see that Zach Novak is not here, the eNASCAR champion. Was really looking forward to seeing how he would match up against some of the best dirt racers in the Southern Hemisphere, but ultimately that round at Volusia has really wounded him. I do hope to see him back in the series soon. Other drivers that'll be looking for a bit of redemption here: Lewis Hewitt, John Schultz, Ryan Harris as well, who sits 17th in the points standings. Ryan, you usually expect in and around the top 10, maybe even top 5 on most days. So he's going to be another driver looking for something better here tonight.
100% will be looking for a much better result. So you've got quality drivers that missed out on even making the A main last week as well. So when we start with 50 odd drivers and we only had 24 into the A main, so a lot of drivers that we would expect to have made the A main that didn't get anywhere near it. So looking forward to seeing how a few drivers get that redemption going tonight, because it is going to be one heck of a show. We're not far away from qualifying starting as well.
Yes, indeed. At the 8-minute mark in Sim is when our race director, Brady Baldwin, has said qualifying will be shifted to. So we wait to see what race control decides to do here. The drivers just finishing up their briefing in Sim at the moment, and then we can finally get to some on-track action. But qualifying around Eldora is no mean feat. The drivers have a total of 4 minutes to set 2 laps in the time trials to decide where they're going to start for the heats. But it doesn't end there. In this series, we have a top 4 invert for the heats. So it's going to be interesting to see what the drivers cope with if they start from a position they weren't necessarily expecting. Also got to highlight, Jay, that we have a random invert for the feature, which we're going to decide in our own special way here on the broadcast.
The most sim speed way we know. We've brought it back. It's been sitting gathering dust for a long while, but the spinny wheel will be back, and everyone is looking forward to seeing that. We've showed it off to a couple of people, and very, very happy. We've got the dirt-looking spinny wheel. We've got the logo colours on it, the yellow and red, and looking forward to showing it off in probably about 40 minutes' time to decide our own version. We did random number draw last week, but we'll do it even more random tonight with a true random spin wheel.
Yes, indeed. Only thing it's missing is the game show music.
Yeah, I couldn't find it.
And I think some people out there might think that's for the best. But qualifying at Eldora, it's going to be a flat-out ride, but the question is, do you stick to the inside through the turns, or do you run the high line up near the wall? Of course, the full shortest line around the circuit is if you follow a regular racing line and stick to the inside through the turns and outside on the straights, but these 410 sprint cars have a giant, massive T-tray wing gluing them to the dirt, and the faster you go around a corner, the more downforce you have. So especially, I think, later on in the night, we're going to see drivers really pushing the limits up there at the top. But I think when the track is clean, the inside is probably the way to go.
100% agree. You slowly make your way up throughout the night. Once you get to the wall on that first run, then you start to work out where to go, but probably going to see over the first heat, maybe into the second heat, the line will slowly get closer to the wall. By the time we get into the 5th heat, then that's when the real skill comes about, because the drivers will have to really work out where to put their car to get that grip, find that grip, and work the car's best. But one thing I'd never noticed until you said before, that the different widths of the straights is really really hugely noticeable now that you've said that. The front straight, almost double the width.
Yeah, it is interesting. Obviously, Eldora with an actual pit lane, unlike a lot of dirt ovals, pit lane on the inside of the circuit. So definitely the pit wall is going to play a factor in a few of these races here tonight. We do have cars out on track in the final couple of minutes of this practice session before we move through to the time trials. Out on track at the moment, Cooper Dunn and Hayden McCandy, as well as Daniel Hardigan, Nathan Norman, and Hayden Vickers. In fact, the track is continuously filling up with drivers as they start working the track in.
Yeah, they only allowed 2 laps each as well, so they've got to be careful not to go too hard, do too many laps, and that could penalise them and really hurt them for the whole night if they do any more than their allotted 2 laps for the evening. So you can see drivers starting to slow down and back themselves up. So we'll start to see some drivers pull in and give up their time and go back out again. after the checkered flag flies in probably another 20 seconds or so.
Yes, indeed. We haven't got long to go until we move into the time trial session and we can decide who starts where for the heats. There's a beautiful overhead view of Eldora Speedway, and yeah, the difference in straight width is definitely noticeable. You're 100% right there, Jay, but the walls themselves, especially on the inside when you go up to the pit entry, that little entry lane with the bollards and the tyre bundles may certainly catch you out if you stick a bit too low to the inside. The drivers do have to be careful of that as well.
It's a tricky circuit, this one. It looks really, really simple. You get there, you go, okay, so it's very, very wide, very open, which means it's full throttle, but that also adds extra little bizarre elements to it, because you then have to plan, well, what exact position do I put my car? Quarter of a car width's difference could be, in this time trial session we're about to have, that could be 15 spots based on how close the field was last week. So really got to be 100% picture perfect on where you position the car. You can see already how much dirt has been moved, and the difference in the lines that the drivers will have to take when it comes time for this time trial in a few minutes' time.
Yeah, you can see the divergence there through the corners. Some drivers electing to take the inside, but quite a few drivers out there working the high line at the moment. And that bank of dirt that you see up the top where it transitions from light colour to dark colour, that is what is known in dirt racing as the cushion. The region there and just below is where the best grip is available. But in a car that takes such high speeds around a circuit like this, you're really better off keeping the car as straight as possible in the turns, which is hard to do with these cars. They produce over 900 horsepower from these 410 cubic inch V8 engines. They got no traction control, nothing like that. They in fact don't have any electronic systems at all, aside from a mechanical starter. So the drivers are definitely driving as raw as possible.
Yeah, exactly right. And it's really going to be... It's a driver's track, this one, isn't it? Drivers really have to be very, very smart on how they behave throughout the event. So I was a bit distracted with some communication with race control, just advising them that we're ready on our end so we can get this show on the road as soon as we can. But a big field again tonight. We've got 49 cars out on the circuit, which means that we will have 4 heats, not the 5 we had last week.
All right, so that means that the night is going to be a little shorter and a little sweeter as well. So hopefully
that adds intensity level, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely, and hopefully the best man wins out of all of these guys, because I mean we know how competitive the dirt scene is here in AusNZ. We know how many drivers are capable of taking heat victories, feature victories. We got plenty of drivers down in this part of the world that can wheel a sprint car, but it seems like the likes of Mr. Joel Berkeley certainly rising above a lot of that. We'll see how he goes here tonight. The time trials are now live. We've got cars out on track, and we are going to find out just how fast these guys are.
The first car we'll focus on will be Zachary Fallon for One Performance Racing. We'll see what he can do. Looking around about, 14-second lap time, I believe?
Yeah, something like that. Zach Fallon using the high line, staying about a car's width off from the wall, gives him a good launch onto the stretch, and that's a 13.379 for him. Currently, it's Harry Stewart on the top of the timesheets with a 13.0, and Callum Davidson not far behind on a 13.155. So Mr. Fallon, looks like it's going to be a position maybe just outside the top 10 for him if he's lucky. Scott Griffiths, meanwhile, for Synergy Sim Racing, he currently sits dead last in the championship standings after a less than optimal race at Volusia last week, but he's certainly putting in those good lap times, managing to set a 13.205. And Zachary Fallon actually going faster, it seems, on his second lap.
Yep.
But they've both been pipped by Brad O'Brien, who puts the number 77 on the provisional fastest time. And here's Cameron Dance, former co-commentator of mine in the 360 Power Series, the Oceanic Dirt Sim event ran in the past couple of months. and he's got a lot of experience in these 410 sprint cars. He has raced at the iRacing World Championship level, a 13.446, not too bad for an initial lap, but you see just how much he is working the wheel through these turns, and one of the drivers deciding to use the lower line here. Let's see what he can do across the line. 13.091 for him, and that puts him in P5. My goodness, this is an incredible qualifying session we're seeing at the moment. David Heilemann now on top. I was not expecting quite a few of the times that we are seeing.
And I think you got thrown off a little bit too, because the timing froze just as Cameron crossed the finish line, and it's come up with a 12.9 for a moment there. So that threw us both off. We thought there's no way that he's going to pick the field, but very, very tight at the front once again. Look at that top 10 under a tenth of a second. As Cardwell going to P1.
That is incredible there from Aidan Cardwell. And Clayton Tilley manages to slot himself into 4th overall with another excellent time. It's pretty much a tie with Brad O'Brien there. They're only separated by 1,000th of a second. But Hayden Cardwell for Slick Sim Sport doing exactly what he needs to do. And oh my goodness, David Heilemann, he'll probably be working out a lot of his bad luck there, because he doesn't want that to happen in the race. How's Brenton Hobson going to do? Mr. Hobson is contributing $10 of prize money every week for the driver that finishes in 6th place in the feature, because Brenton Hobson, known far and wide for finishing 6th an awful lot. And that's a good initial time from him. 13.1 puts him outside the top 10 for now, but we'll see if he can go faster on this next run. It looks like...
faster by 100th.
Faster by 100th of a second. Unfortunately, it's not going to translate into an improvement in position for him. He had the gap to Daniel Hartigan already, and Cody Lawrence a bit too far ahead. It's going to be 6,000ths between himself and Hobson in terms of lap times. But we got to remember, as the session comes to an end, that the drivers are going to be starting in a different order to what we're seeing on the timesheets. The heats are organised in a staggered formation, and then we've got the top 4 invert to think about as well. Now, the 03 of Dylan DeBono, leaving it right till the last second to set his times, and I don't think he's going to get it in. He just left too late, so no time recorded for Dylan DeBono. Unfortunate for him, but the event is going to move on with or without him setting a time. Here is the grid for Heat 1. Daniel Hartigan and Cameron Dance on the front row, with Lewis Hewitt and Hayden Cardwell behind them. Davidson and Manif start 5th and 6th, with Reed and Lumsden on row 4. Jaden Russell and Aidan Hall rounding out the top 10. It's the 13-car field for this heat. Joe Daly, Bryn Stewart, and Nash Granger round out our field. Now, Hartigan versus Dance versus Hewitt versus Hardwell versus Davidson. That is a stacked top 5.
Definitely is. Well, it's a stacked field. We're going to say this all night. 100% going to say it every single heat, every single main, that this field is stacked, because the quality of this field overall is intensely good. So we're going to see some really, really good racing. But Hartigan had a great result last week. Top 5 last week. I think 4th from memory last week. Fourth in the championship, I should say.
4th in points, yeah.
So, of course, qualifying points available for the drivers as well. So, because of the inversion, you do get qualifying points. So, Hartigan looking to go back-to-back with another good result. But Hayden Cardwell, quickest in the time trials, goes quick time, and he'll be looking to get himself back into P1 as quick as he can.
Indeed he will, and the drivers are away on their formation laps. We're going to get some racing going very shortly. 2 formation laps behind the iRacing pace truck. And it'll come in and the green flag will fly. Now, the starting zone for the drivers is a little bit before the turn 4 exit, just after the light poles. So the drivers are going to have to be careful not to jump it too much, and also make sure that they don't pass before the start-finish line. That's a big rule in this series. Got to be very careful about how you put the power down out of these turns. So Hartigan controlling the inside there from pole. Dance on the outside. And this is going to be our first chance to see whether or not the outside or the inside line has the advantage here. It's been a little different with every track we visited in the sprint cars. Running a bit high, and then away he goes. Daniel Hardigan puts the power down. We are racing at Eldora Speedway in the ASC Championship. Cameron Dance holding the higher line versus Hewitt, who's a bit stuck on the inside. It's allowed Hayden Cardwell to come on through round the outside, and already starting to make progress as Hayden right on the back of Dance, who's trying to put a move here on Hardigan.
A really good start too, much cleaner than what we saw last week. Last week we saw all sorts of chaos and mayhem at the start of the first heat. Tonight looking much, much cleaner. It's, you can see also Lewis Hewitt trying to make some moves as well as he goes around the outside of Cameron Dance, so he's now back up into third position. But Hardigan and Cardwell, they're going at it for the lead, and it's going to go on for the entirety of this heat.
Yeah, and they've already, they're going to come up to half race distance at the end of this lap. It's only 8 laps and a heat, and Hayden Cardwell right on the back of Daniel Hardigan. Also got to pay attention to the transfer spot, because the top 4 from each heat get a ticket straight through to the feature. Currently, Cameron Dance is under threat from Ashton Manif. Dance has fallen off the wagon a little bit since the start of the race, and it's trading places for the lead, with Cardwell trying his best there versus Hardigan, and they're ending up switching places again and again. This is giving the advantage to Lewis Hewitt behind them. He's going to go all the way down to the inside, try and maintain as much grip as he can. Contact between Hardigan and Cardwell, and it is going to be lap 7 for these guys. White flag next time by. Goodness me, they are running so close to the wall. I can't believe Cardwell didn't hop a wheel up onto the wall there. White flag then for this first heat. Cardwell running the outside beautifully, going up into the cushion a little bit. Hewitt still trying to go for it. Oh, and look at that. Cameron Dance under some big threat here, but it looks like he's going to hold on to the transfer spot. Hayden Cardwell takes victory, with Daniel Hartigan in second, Lewis Hewitt third, and Dance only just holding off Ashton Manif for fourth by about 1/10 of a second.
Yeah, so Cardwell, Hardigan, Hewitt and Dance through into the A-main. Manif, Davidson, Lumsden, Hall, Reed, Daly, and then over the page to Stuart, Granger and Russell. They will all have to do it the hard way, coming through the C and B mains.
Time for Heat 2 then. It's Devin Butts and Zachary Fallon starting on the front row here, with James Rice and David Heileman behind them. Daniel Selleck and Scott Griffiths in 5th and 6th, with Daniel Gow and Damian Rasmussen, it certainly does, on 7th and 8th. 9th and 10th, Nathan Norman and Hayden Vickers in the Vickers Motorsport number 15. Rounding out our 13 cars here, it's Cooper Dunn, Tyler Howard and Dylan DeBono, who, as we remember, did not set a representative time in the time trials. So this is going to be the first clue we really get to DeBono's pace, and he'll be starting at the back to boot.
It was pretty quick last week, though, wasn't he? Remember, back to last week, he did work his way through quite well to get himself into the A-main from memory. I believe he was in the A-main last week, so he did race very, very well. I think he had a little bit of bad luck as well, so we'll see how that plays out. Just see Fallon.
One row's going.
Isn't moving.
But,
this is
okay. That's a slight problem there for the outside row. It looks like a couple of them are getting a bit impatient here, deciding to move out, and well, Zachary Fallon left behind in the pits. That's quite odd, and it seems that he briefly dropped out there. What on earth has happened to Zachary Fallon?
I think he's got some tech issues with his wheel or something, and he can't actually get away. So it might be what's going on. So he's able to, get out on the circuit, but he's got no pedals or no revs, or he can't. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, he's obviously at the wheel.
I'm guessing his pedals aren't connecting or something.
Yeah, that might be it. Well, it's unfortunate there for Hayden Cardwell. I think. Oh, sorry, Zachary Fallon. My apologies. Looks like it's not going to be a fun night for him. The pace truck has already pulled into the pits ahead of all of these guys. They were holding back to make sure that everyone else caught up. So now, Devin Butts.
Oh, here he comes.
Oh, there's Zachary Fallon. He's made it. Oh my goodness, this is going to be a very late rejigging of the grid here. They're going to get the green flag right there, and it looks like Fallon, oh my goodness, he disappeared again. I think he might have escaped out. Oh no, big tech issues for him. He just popped back in, he's up on the wall. But that's resulted in a very messy start for everyone. David Heilemann immediately going into the lead with Devin Butts missing the cue a little on the start. But Daniel Gow up into third place. Oh, big crash in the background. That is Damian Rasmussen around, and he's going to be fighting there with Felon at the back of this heat field.
Yeah, Rasmussen, one that didn't have much luck last week either, so he'll be looking to get a little bit more out of his night. But Devin Butts in the number 47 car, just being passed there by Daniel Gow. So, side by side, coming to 1 and 2, and a little bit of contact there. Oh no!
Round goes Butts, and it looks like he may just end up on his roof if he's unlucky, and he is. That's a big shame for Devin. He's another driver that's going to have to work his way up through the C and B mains, but it is on here for second place because Daniel Gow and James Rice right close together, and Daniel Selleck in hot pursuit of these guys. Selleck is not in trouble for the transfer spot. He's got a good gap back to Nathan Norman in fifth, but Daniel Gow is going to have to drive the wheels off that machine in order to have a chance of catching up to David Heilemann in these last 2 laps, but Heilemann, it seems, very comfortable there up the top. He's showing almost no sign of wayward car behavior or anything resembling a problem. And it looks like this is going to be a very easy feature victory for Mr. Heilemann. But Daniel Gow and James Rice, still a potential change as Heilemann takes victory. But Gow has managed to hold off the advance of James Rice. Daniel Selleck in fourth. So unfortunately, we're going to have to say goodbye for now to Hayden Vickers, Dylan DeBono, Scott Griffiths, Damian Rasmussen, Daniel Gow, Zach Felon, Devin Butts, Cooper Dunn, and Tyler Howard. It looks like Tyler did not even make the grid, so that is a bit of a shame. Worth pointing out, though, Dylan DeBono, after starting dead last, he made it up to 6th by the end of that. So it's certainly a good way for his night to start off. Time for Heat 3 then. It's Braden Shute and Cody Lawrence on the front row. Jake Maloney starts from 3rd alongside Brad O'Brien. Richie McLeod, feature winner last round at Volusia, starts from 5th. Adrian Lamarkia in 6th with Ryan Harris and Nathan Bennett on the 4th row. Tyler Stevenson and Clayton Davies round out your top 10. 12 cars for this heat. Hayden McCandy and Carl Hoffmans rounding out the field tonight.
Another very, very competitive heat we've got coming up right now. As I said, we've got the winner from last week in Richie McLeod. Maloney, we saw, had some great pace last week. Ryan Harris had an unlucky night. He'll be looking for a bit of redemption. Carl Hoffman starting in last position. We've seen him in previous broadcasts that we've done here on SimSpeed on the dirt side of things be very, very competitive. So this is a really, really open heat right now.
Yeah, and looks like the start is not going to be quite as messy as the heat before it, so we should see a bit more of an orderly way of getting this race started. But look for Carl Hoffman's carving his way through the field here, and Ryan Harris trying to assault that top 3. This is pretty much anyone's race. So into turn 3, the pace truck is going to pull in just after the apex, and we'll finally get going for Heat 3. Braden Shute controls them. It's a nice, smooth application of power, and he's managed to get the jump there on Cody Lawrence. Already on the inside, fighting was Jake Maloney. He's made contact with Brad O'Brien, who's concertinaed back into the field, and he's now down at the back. He's not going to be too happy with that one. A little bit of innocuous contact, but it's all on at the back of the field, and my goodness, that was bad for Mr. Hoffman's. Getting off to a bad start. Nathan Bennett in the wall as well with issues. Meanwhile, looks like it is all on for that transfer spot. Richie McLeod trying to hold off the advances of Ryan Harris here in the number 57. This could be the difference between Richie starting in the feature and having a nice easy night and having to work his way up through the C and B mains. Meanwhile, I'm seeing a pass in the background. Adrian Lamarkia trying on Brad O'Brien, but looks like it hasn't quite worked. O'Brien on the inside as Harris continues to chase Richie McLeod, but looks like this is very even from second on back. Cody Lawrence enjoys a sizable lead, but Braden Shute is right on the back here. Maloney right on the back of Shute, rather, and my goodness, Ryan Harris trying it there on Richie McLeod, but it didn't quite work. Clayton Davies has a little bit of a look, but doesn't look like it's going to work out for him. And for Ryan Harris, that was a failed slide job. He'll be hoping to execute it a bit more efficiently this time around, getting a good amount of momentum off the top as McLeod tries to protect the inside. Harris, he has the pace, but McLeod balked him on the exit. Ryan Harris, though, to the inside. And is the slide job going to work this time? No, it's not. It's white flag, meanwhile. Our race leader, Cody Lawrence, will be coming around. My goodness! Take care, guys. Richie McLeod, I think, is safe here because Clayton Davies and Ryan Harris keep battling. They make contact, and Davies in the wall. But looks like Cody Lawrence taking an excellent feature victory there with Shoot and Maloney completing the podium. And Richie McLeod, he will be wiping his forehead with relief because he's got a ticket into the feature.
That was an intense little fight there. A couple of mistakes there for Harris there. Unfortunately cost him that transfer spot, but he'll be up near the front of the B main when it comes around. So Lawrence, Shoot, Maloney and McLeod through to the A main. Harris, O'Brien, Lamarcia. We've got Stevenson. Hoffman's recovered for 9th. Clayton Davies across the line on his side in 10th. Then we've got McCandy and Bennett. Also, every car did finish the race in that one for the first time, I think, for the entire season so far.
Well, that is a good thing to see for sure. Hopefully we see a repeat of that here in Heat 4 with Jacob Dixon and Brenton Hobson starting on the first row. Harry Stewart starts from 3rd for United Sim Sports, and well, he showed fantastic pace in the time trials. It'll be interesting to see what he can do from there. Clayton Tilley joins him on the 2nd row with Barry and Steinhauser behind them. Kelly and Schultz on row 4. Ethan Bastian starting from 9th position for Pace Syndicate. He is going to want to advance forward in this one. We know the kind of pace he's capable of, but Mitchell Broom as well also has a great amount of talent under that right foot of his. We saw he put on an amazing performance at Volusia. But the 12-car field rounded out by Lockie Beattie and Zach Howell. So now the second formation lap has begun. We're going to be going green imminently. Jacob Dixon versus Brenton Hobson on the front row, and Hobbo 3rd in the championship after round 1. He did not visit the podium in the feature, but he had far more consistent results throughout the rest of the night, which puts him into a really good points position. He'll be hoping to continue some of that. Starts coming up. Jacob Dixon goes early, and he gets the jump there on Hobbo. And it looks like Harry Stewart's gotten the jump on Hobbo too. Size through on the inside, but can he maintain the momentum? Hobson tries it. Oh, gonna go 3 wide just about. Clayton Tilley backing out of it at the last second. Meanwhile, Aaron Kelly and Josh Barry swapping positions behind them. This is already intense. Oh my goodness, 3 wide down the straight. How do you like that? With Clayton Tilley, Brenton Hobson and Harry Stewart. Stewart, though, manages to hold off the advances at least for a bit, but Tilley, with the mother of all slide jobs, I don't think that was ever going to work there. And this is for 2nd place, remember. Jacob Dixon up in the lead has actually just gotten into the wall, so he's lost quite a bit of momentum, and he has got the enemies at the gate charging down with their torches and pitchforks.
Yeah, Josh Barry and Brent Hobson battling for the transfer spot. Stay with the leaders for the moment, but Harry Stewart just gets a slide job done for now, but I think Dixon will come back here. This is going to be intense. Top 3 are going to fight the whole way to the end, and then there's going to be that really, really big battle that we'll go to in the last couple of laps for that transfer spot.
Well, Harry Stewart has taken the lead of the race for the moment. Clayton Tilley with the slide job, but again pushing a little too hard into the corner. Oh my goodness, for that transfer spot, there's been a crash, and it looks like Brenton Hobson is tumbling head over heels. That is a huge shame for Hobbo 88. He lands on his wheels, but I think that is his heat over. So now it's Aaron Kelly, I think, who is in the transfer spot. And they're not under any threat from John Schultz behind. Meanwhile, Harry Stewart, it's white flag for him. Under hot pursuit from Clayton Tilley. Is he going to get it done? Pushes hard through the final turn, but Tilley trying on the inside. No, not going to do it. Harry Stewart takes victory with Tilley and Dixon completing the podium, and Aaron Kelly is going to finish in 4th place with, John Schultz managing to make himself up into 5th at the end of that one too. Unfortunately, not going to be enough for Schultz to grab a free ticket into the A main. There are your results. Ethan Bastian not quite making as much of an advance as he would have hoped. Neither Mitchell Broom, but I definitely think Harry Stewart will be happy with that one.
100%. So Stewart, Tilly, Dixon, and Kelly into the A main. Schultz, Beatty, Bastian, Broom, Steinhauser, Howell. And then over the page, we'll see Josh Barry, who I believe got a penalty,
He did.
which has taken him out of any chance of transfer spot. It will be in this C main along with Brenton Hobson coming up right now.
Yes, and 15 other drivers joining them here. The starting grid is as follows. Daniel Gow and Carl Hoffmans, the 022 and the 3 on your front row. Corey Steinhauser and Joe Daly on the second row. Zachary Fallon, he will want to win this one and get himself into the B main and then hopefully into the feature, because those technical issues he was suffering in his heat, certainly don't want a repeat of that. He's joined on row 3 by Clayton Davies, with Howell and Stewart on the row behind them. Devin Butts and Hayden McCandy round out the top 10. It's Josh Barry from 11th alongside Nash Granger, Cooper Dunn and Nathan Bennett on the 7th row. Then we've got the unfortunate Brenton Hobson in 15th alongside Jaden Russell, and Tyler Howard rounds out our 17-car field, all as lonesome on the 9th row.
12 laps for the drivers up now. I just accidentally clicked that button, but that one worked, telling us how many laps the heat is. That the conditions haven't changed, but one thing I have noticed is the sun glare coming out of turn. You can see it there on that camera shot there.
Yeah.
Coming out of 3 into 4. It's going to get quite bad. By the time we get to the A main, we are going to be completely under lights, which means that the fireworks button I've got will actually work.
Yes. Well, that's
the important thing.
Yeah, it is. It is, of course. That is the most important thing here at Eldora. You want a bit of pyrotechnics to illuminate your pyrotechnic racing. But green flag is aloft, and it looks like Carl Hoffmans has not taken the start here. Corey Steinhauser leads, but... oh, hang on a minute. My apologies. Carl Hoffmans there in second. It's a very messy start behind them. It's all on for third place back. Joe Daly currently holds it, but Josh Barry trying to make his way up here with the slide job. Carl Hoffman's losing a bit of ground to Corey Steinhauser, and there's a pile up. That's 3 cars involved. Clayton Davies, Cooper Dunn, Zach Howell, Tyler Howard as well, and Joe Daly, who was running in third there, all involved in that smash. And Joe Daly ultimately deemed at fault for that incident. He has been black flagged.
Yeah, Clayton Davies was the car that we saw facing the wrong direction. We saw Brenton Hobson flying through the middle. So it looks like there's some sort of bizarre timing issue at the moment, because it's not showing any live gaps, but we can confirm that the front of the field is very, very tight between Hoffmans, who's just taken the lead of the race, Steinhauser, Barry, and Devin Butts, top 4 at the moment. But I believe it's top 4 that do transfer through.
Yes, that is correct. Top 4 transfer through to the B main. Steinhauser getting monstered there on the inside. Josh Barry moves ahead of him, but Carl Hoffman's out in front now by, it was 0.4 of a second at the line. Steinhauser will have a great front seat view of this one, as will Hayden McCandy, who's chasing down Steinhauser for that transfer spot. You can really see how much of a slick groove has formed on the track, and the driver's really struggling to maintain that forward momentum. But McCandy running that slightly higher line, searching for grip wherever he may find it, slowly advancing here on Corey Steinhauser, as Devin Butts just up ahead you saw there, chasing down Carl Hoffmans for the lead.
Yeah, it's getting close, but this is the closest little fight in this whole field at the moment. Granger and Russell just have a little shuffle of position, just as I say that. But a little bit of contact there between Steinhauser and McCandy, so this isn't over. And McCandy's lost all of that momentum that he gained with that slight little bit of wheel-to-wheel contact. He's going to have to do it all over again. What he's got to be careful of, the fastest car on track is coming up behind him, that being Jaden Russell. Have a look at the move from Jaden Russell. He's going to get 2 for 1 here.
Oh my goodness. Look at that. And how do you like that? Jaden Russell moves up into the transfer spot. What a fantastic move. He's making the high line work beautifully. He's almost wall riding it. He's playing it so fine. But Carl Hoffmans and Devin Butts up ahead, they're only going to have a lap to go when they cross the line here, and Devin is right on the back of Carl. White flag for our 2 leaders. What can Devin Butts do? His only chance is a slide job down at the final corner. I don't know if he'll be able to make it work. Oh, he half committed to it there, but not going to be enough. Carl Hoffmans takes victory in the C main with Devin Butts in second. And Jaden Russell, ultimately making it to 3rd place in the end. Congratulations, Jaden, after starting from 16th. Josh Barry in 4th. So, unfortunately, we'll say goodbye to McCandy, Granger, Davies, Stewart, Howard, Bennett, Steinhauser, Howell, Daly, Dunn, and Brenton Hobson as well.
And how's that too for Jaden Russell? Started 2nd last.
Yeah.
Finished 3rd, and that's very, very similar to what we saw last week when we saw Joel Berkeley somehow make his way into the A main from way back in the field in the C main. But yeah, Hoffman's, Butts, Russell and Barry into this race right now coming up, which is the B main.
And the grid will be as follows. Ashton Manif and Hayden Vickers are your front row, with Ryan Harris and John Schultz behind them. This is going to be Ryan's last chance here to make it into the feature, but worth reminding you, the top 8 from the B main transfer to the feature. So it's going to be 9th place that we're going to be taking a proper look at. Davidson, DeBono, O'Brien, Beattie, Lumsden and Griffiths, your top 10. And 21 cars in this one, with Adrian Lamarkia and Ethan Bastian on row 6, Hall and Rasmussen on row 7, with Stevenson and Broom starting from 15th and 16th. Scott Reed and Carl Hoffmans from 17th and 18th. Hoffmans will be looking for some redemption here as well. Devin Butts, Jaden Russell rounding out the 20, and Josh Barry, our 4th place finisher in the C main, starting last for SM Sim Sport, who delightfully presents you these events from the Oceanic Dirt Sim Events ASC Championship. This is going to be the final race before our 30-lap feature. I'm really looking forward to seeing who manages to get into that top 8. It's sure to be hotly contested.
The inversion will be between 1 and 16. So when we do bring up our spinny wheel after this race, if we do get a 17 to 20, we will spin again. So just so everyone's aware before we get to that point, it is completely random. So we haven't pre-recorded it or anything because we hit the green flag for the B main.
Yeah, and Ashton Manif getting an excellent start there. Ryan Harris also down on the inside, searching for any bit of grip he has, and already having a run at the lead. Down on the inside, look at the dichotomy of lines here. You've got drivers going all the way up top and all the way down on the bottom. There is no middle ground, because if you're right in the middle of that ocean of slick clay, you're in no man's land. And with some really interesting running here, Dylan DeBono trying to make his way up here into, I believe that is 4th place. No, 3rd place Dylan DeBono has managed to put himself up into. Meanwhile, Callum Davidson trying his best to fight off the advances of Hayden Vickers for 6th place, and Aidan Hall trying his best up the inside, coming onto the front stretch, and he is right down there coming into turn 1. Excellent run to get those positions, but Lumsden on the top there in the number 55, trying his best to maintain that his own kind of momentum. He's getting into the wall a little bit too much, though, losing that momentum.
This is the battle pack that will decide who gets transferred into the A main as well. So this is a really interesting fight. You can see John Schultz is battling there with Lumsden, the 78 car, and the 55. Those two are the 8th and 9th place cars. So there's, 5 cars trying to fight for 2 spots in this little pack here. Very, very tight, hotly contested pack. As Ethan Bastian's just come from nowhere into this battle now.
Yeah, right on the back now of Max Lumsden, who holds the transfer spot and just moved there into 8th place, and that's Lumsden into the wall. He's managed to get going again, but missing his front wing, and it looks like in the midst of all of that, Ethan Bastian losing the position back to John Schultz. And have a look at Damian Rasmussen. He's going to be challenging here for the transfer spot shortly.
Good to see Rasmussen having a much better run here. Hasn't been a great night for Synergy so far. Of course, he saw Hobbo doing cartwheels, so Rasmussen flying the flag for the team at the moment. He's now in the 10th position, not far off that transfer spot. Now trying to get this move done on Bastian and Schultz. Schultz currently holding the spot.
Yeah, and it looks like with the great momentum up the top, he's gotten a little bit more of the gap that he needs, but there's certainly plenty of opportunities for that to go wrong. Dylan DeBono, meanwhile, still leads this one with Harrison O'Brien, your top 3.
Oh, no.
Ashton Manif trying. Oh, my goodness. This is quite spicy.
Oh.
Question into Rasmussen, into God knows what. And Rasmussen, wow. Very unfortunate. At least that has given the gap to John Schultz, and he is going to be sitting pretty. Brad O'Brien, meanwhile, challenging for second place up the front here with Ryan Harris down there on the bottom of the circuit. This could be an incredible drive from O'Brien to take a podium from starting back in 7th. Lap 13, 2 laps to go for these guys.
The night just gets worse for Synergy with Scott Griffiths having issues as well, so that's 3 of their 4 cars in this series out before we even get to the A main.
That is a big shame for Synergy Sim Racing, but for Pace Syndicate, John Schultz, the driver at the wheel, he is right in the place where he needs to be to transfer. He's got the gap that he needs. No pressure from behind. All he's got to do is bring it home. Meanwhile, Dylan DeBono takes victory up ahead with Brad O'Brien and Ryan Harris, your podium. Great run from O'Brien in those final laps. And Ashton Manif, your pole sitter, finishing in 4th with Davidson, Beattie, Hall and Schultz, your top 8. And you see the gap there. It was a bit around 7/10 back to Josh Barry. Unfortunately, we're going to have to say goodbye to Barry, along with Carl Hoffmans and all the other drivers that you're seeing down here. Drivers that jump out to me: Mitchell Broom, Ethan Bastian, Devin Butts, and of course the Synergy Sim Racing duo there of Scott Griffiths and Damian Rasmussen. They certainly had potential as well. And Jaden Russell too, after his drive in the C main. I was definitely expecting something better than that. Unfortunate, but that's the way it goes sometimes.
100%. Now I'm just loading up the spinning wheel, so give me a second, Race, to not make mistakes, because I will.
Of course, but the spinning wheel, it's been a while since we've touched base with our best mate. We'll determine live on broadcast what the invert is going to be for the feature. There it is, in the series colours as well, and it is spinning. Look at the point up the top. We'll see what kind of number lands there. 8. So the top 8 are going to be inverted for our feature tonight.
So that will be, if I could go back through, we can look at the results, because I can actually bring them up on the screen. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that should be the second place car from Heat 4, yes?
Second place car from Heat 4 is Brenton Hobson.
That's the finishing order? No, the finishing order.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. My apologies. Clayton Tilley. I accidentally clicked on the grid on my end. Typical Reese Gardner mistake there. But it does look like Clayton Tilley finishing second in Heat 4. So if we've got the maths right, he should be starting on pole.
Yep, there's the results from that Heat 4. Does say A Heat. Shouldn't say A Heat. Should say A main. Let's try that again.
That's interesting.
That looks
there
better.
We go. Beautiful.
Good old typo. But yeah, so it looks like it should be Clayton Tilley starting from pole. So the lights are now on here at Eldora Speedway. What a night we've had so far. It's been really, really entertaining. Very, very tight racing, which is good to see as well. It's provided pretty much everything we expect Eldora to show.
Yeah, absolutely. It was very fast and frenetic racing all throughout the field, and you definitely noticed how the track evolution was playing into drivers' strategies in the C and B mains. The drivers actually voting against a track reset, it seems, for the feature. So we're going to be keeping this slick action all the way through the next 30 laps of racing. That's certainly going to be the great deciding factor, because I mean, we saw how much trouble some drivers were having keeping it out of the wall up there on the top. It requires a lot of commitment and a lot of dedication from a driver to be able to pull off a fast line round Eldora up the top. Got to remember there is that strip of unused clay down on the bottom as well. We might be seeing some drivers shift their wings forward, give themselves a little bit more turn coming into the corners and allow them to stick to the inside. But
we got it right, Rex. We got it right.
Excellent. Beautiful stuff. Well, now we are through into the A main, and we'll be able to get racing here at Eldora Speedway. I have been looking forward to this all week. This is going to be fun.
So it will be Tilly and Shoot on row 1. Row 2 will be Rice and Hardigan. Stewart and Lawrence on row 3. Heilemann and Cardwell on row 4. Then we get into the graphic being right from there on in. Hewitt and Selleck on row number 5. 6 will be Maloney and Dixon. Dance and Norman on row 7. Row 8, Richie McLeod and Aaron Kelly. That will be very, very hotly contested way back there. Remember McLeod winning last week. De Bono, O'Brien, Harris and Manif, and Davison, Beattie, Paul and Schultz. All of those final 8 coming through from the B main.
Yes, indeed, and it's going to be an interesting one for the drivers finishing well in the B main. They'll be starting for quite a way down the back of the grid, and with 24 cars on a very slick track, it's certainly going to be tough pickings for some extra positions. Of course, the drivers pacing at the moment, but we're going to be going for an extra formation lap or so once the iRacing green flag flies, so that our top 8 can invert themselves and get the starting order correct for this feature. I'll tell you what, with these dirt events, Jay, we barely get a moment to catch our breath. I think that's the first full breath I'd taken since we started.
We did hard and fast last night. We didn't get a chance to use the replay. We tried, but we didn't get to. We'll at least get 2 because we will have yellows in this A main. Of course, caution laps will not count as well towards the overall lap count. So it will be a 31 lap race on the counter. This 1 lap right now is our unofficial first lap. So this does not count as lap 1.
Yep, just waiting for the top 8 to rearrange themselves. Yeah, true. Yeah, we have 30 laps of racing action with 1 extra lap of rearranging action. Well, here we go then. Clayton Tilley up at the front of the field then alongside Braden Shute. When is he going to choose to go? He goes right when he needs to at the pit entry, and that is an excellent start from Tilley, racing in the A main at Eldora. James Rice down in second, now third, because Braden Shute holding the outside very nicely. Drivers almost coming together behind them. Harry Stewart, Daniel Hardigan, Hayden Cardwell, Lewis Hewitt, and Cody Lawrence as well, all involved in that one battle pack.
Clayton Tilley's taken advantage of this, starting at the front stuff. It is away, but have a look at this 4 wide coming into turn 3.
Oh, a little bit of contact as well there. Harry Stewart getting a little tappy tap from David Heilemann, who gets a tappy tap from Lewis Hewitt, and there's a big tappy tap into the wall between Cody Lawrence and Daniel Hardigan. Hardigan mired back in the pack now. He's going to have to work his way through. And last round's feature winner, Richie McLeod, right at the head of this pack here.
Remember, Hardigan was in a similar spot last week too. Remember, he started at the front, worked his way back, and then worked his way back forward again. So he's no stranger to this. This mid-pack here, sort of 5th, 6th back, this is incredibly tight. Actually, from 4th back where Heilemann is here. It's a very, very tight field.
Bit of contact. Lewis Hewitt and Harry Stewart coming together briefly. That's put Stewart on the back foot, losing a bit of momentum. Hello, 4 wide. It's been a while since we've seen you. There goes Hewitt on the inside of Heilemann, but David up on the top. He works it really nicely at the top left of your screen. Fantastic racing between these drivers, and we're seeing a majority of them start to move up to the high line. Lawrence just making his way ahead of Cameron Dance's Daniel Hardigan, right alongside them, trying his best to work his way back up, nearly making contact with Cam, and maybe making contact in turn 1. They push each other pretty hard there for that 9th and 10th spot. But overall, it looks like vast majority of the racing here is nice and clean. Some side-by-side action across the line there. Jacob Dixon and Harry Stewart.
Heilemann through James Rice. So James Rice, the only Synergy Sim Racing driver left, started up near the front. He was in second. He's dropping back now behind Lewis Hewitt at 5th place.
Yeah, trying his best to hold the line there right in the middle, but there's no grip down there at the moment. So Lewis Hewitt around the outside just powers around, and Clayton Tilley with what is a mammoth lead in dirt racing of 1.6 seconds. 1 caution though, and that will be completely erased.
Well, I don't even think we even need that, because look at the pace difference between Cardwell and Tilley. Last lap by...
Whoa.
was fastest lap, the only driver to do 14s, other than Tilly earlier in the race. So Hayden Cardwell very, very quick at the moment as we go back to this mid-pack battle. Jacob Dixon, Harry Stewart going at it very, very tight as well, but just behind them, that battle around Dance, Hardigan, Kelly, very, very tight still. It's
Indeed it is.
fastest.
Oh yeah, okay. So we got a few contenders here for victory at Eldora, and we ride on board with Mr. Hardigan there in 10th place, just making his way past Aaron Kelly. They've been trading places a little bit. You see the battle with Cameron Dance and Jacob Dixon just up ahead of them. Oh, and there's the slide job from Aaron Kelly, but no, that's not going to work out well. Oversteer and collected by Daniel Hardigan. That's another disadvantage that Hardigan will not want.
Gap at the front now down to a second, so Hayden Cardwell is coming, and coming fast. Clayton Tilley will be starting to get a little bit worried because you'll see that time dropping his in-game relative. So he's dropped now down to 1.2 seconds. Remember, it was 1.7 when we last checked it, so it is closing in. But the thing they're going to be really worried about, Heilemann is flying right now. The Heilemaniacs will be going crazy.
Absolutely. David Heilemann, the first driver into the 14s, and he's done it 2 laps in a row in the feature. He's creeping up on the back of Hayden Cardwell, but he's not going to have much time left. In just a few laps' time, they will only have 10 to go. So he will be driving the wheels off that machine at the moment, but you see that the top 3 in general is closing up, and Clayton coming up on traffic as well. That's Ashton Beneath that he's just passing there on the inside line, and Cody Lawrence too in the white and green car just up ahead. This is going to make things very interesting for the top 3 battle. Lawrence hits the wall on the inside, but he manages to keep going, and now Tilley right on the outside there, about to come round to lap Ryan Harris. Oh, he's getting balked a little bit. This is not going to work out well for him. This is going to give the advantage now to Hayden Cardwell. They are all together, our top 3, up on the outside.
What a fight this is. 11 to go when they cross the line. 3 wide at the line. Oh, this is very tight.
Oh my goodness, Clayton Tilley working the outside, but you see Hayden Cardwell going up the inside and completing the slide job to take the race lead. Excellent job from Hayden, but it looks like David Heilemann and oh my goodness. Oh no, there we go. Brad O'Brien up onto his roof, and ultimately, Clayton Tilley was involved in that as well.
Yeah, he was. And Cardwell was as well, because he's been facing the wrong direction. He's missing his front wing.
Oh no. So I think that definitely deserves a replay. Our leaders coming together as they came into traffic. Well, it actually looked like Heilemann was the one that started all of that. You see Cardwell try and go through on the inside, but a bit of contact with Heilemann there on the inside, shot him up the racetrack and right into Tilley.
The thing was that Brad O'Brien was already having issues. Actually, no, so that was from Aaron Kelly, so that was where the caution came from.
Oh my goodness.
So the caution was already out before those guys got there. Okay. So I think that the incident between Tilley and who else was it? Sorry, the 07
Hayden
car
Cardwell.
Of Cardwell may have been happening because those guys had got on the brakes to watch out for those guys involved in the wreck. So whatever's happened, it's really helped Heilemann.
Yeah, certainly has. Heilemann now in it looks like second place. Aaron Kelly. Oh no, my timing screen did a bit of a whoopsie there. Heilemann in the lead now with Lewis Hewitt second and Clayton Tilley holding onto that third place. Harry Stewart making his way back up to 4th place now in the midst of all of that. So that's certainly going to help him. They get a bit of a reset here, and they are going to have, I believe, 10 laps to go when we cross the line.
It'll be 9 to go when we cross the line. Yeah, 9 to go when we go green.
All right. Well, here we go. David Heilemann's got to line it up, and he puts the power down beautifully. Lewis Hewitt and Clayton Tilley very close on at the restart. But you see the number 11 of Harry Stewart working the inside again. They hint at going 3 wide down the straight, but there's enough space between the cars to make that happen nicely. David Heilemann, we already saw that his pace was fantastic, and now that he's out in the lead, he gets a chance to stretch his legs in this final phase of the race. So it's going to be on for second back here with Stewart going up the inside of Tilley there into the final corner. But Tilley still steadfastly working the high line, trying his best to maintain the momentum, as is Lewis Hewitt. And I think Harry Stewart, if he wants to try and advance forward, he might have to start trying the high line himself.
He's the only one that seems to be doing the low line out of that group. The guys that are behind that are doing the low line are sort of a groove or two up from him. But I mean, it is working because he's maintaining the pace with Tilley. But as you said, I don't think he's going to be able to make any ground up. 4 to go right now. And saying that, Lewis Hewitt is one that may be caught here, so he's got to be a little bit careful. Heilemann's absolutely broken away, but it's on for that third spot between Tilley and Stewart. And coming now is Dance and also Dixon.
Yeah, Cameron Dance just passing by Tilley and Dixon with a mammoth run up the inside. Going to go up the inside of Dance into turn 1, but will Dance be able to put the power down and get the move back? I think he will. This trading of places is certainly going to help out Tilley. He goes back to the front of that pack. But Harry Stewart there in third place, now working the high line, and it seems that he has the gap that he needs at the moment. Jacob Dixon is quick. So is Dance, though, and they are getting in each other's way. Meanwhile, white flag for our race leader, David Heilemann. I mean, after starting in that 7th position, you have to think a great run from David Heilemann with some fantastic pace, and he takes victory in the feature here at Eldora Speedway. Mammoth run. The Heilemaniacs will be extremely happy with that one. Lewis Hewitt and Harry Stewart finish in 2nd and 3rd, with Dixon and Cardwell rounding out the top 5. Wow, what an event.
Yeah, fantastic. We may have called that one lap early with our lap cannon not being 100% perfect. It's a little bit tricky with these ones, but it's never going to discount the result of that because David Heilemann was the dominant driver in that A main and took advantage of some issues with other drivers at the right time. And what a victory. Can't say much more than that. Drove the wheels off that car, deserves the victory tonight.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. And
okay.
Oh, hello. Well, that's one way to try and get up onto victory lane, but I don't think it worked out for David there. Pace truck out on the circuit to clean things up, and we can go through that properly good event with the drivers once they come in for their interviews. I mean, this is only round 2, but if the racing we've seen from these first 2 rounds is any indication, we're in for one heck of a season.
100%. This is going to be a fantastic season the whole way through. We're going to have some great racing the whole way through. We can't put up a results screen because of how the manual lap distance is working. So, unfortunately, we do know that David Heilemann is our winner. We can not dispute that, and he'll be very, very excited when he comes in. And fingers crossed we'll get one of his outstanding interviews because, Reese, I don't know if you've seen his interviews or heard his interviews that he's done in the pro races before, but they are fantastic.
All right, I'm definitely looking forward to it. We do have one driver down there in the interview booth, though, and we're going to bring him in for a bit of a chat now. It's our 3rd place man, Harry Stewart. G'day, Harry. What a race from you to come back there from that start to finish on the podium. You must be happy.
Yeah, I sort of screwed myself up at the start. I just couldn't find the right line, and whichever line I chose, I got passed by 2 cars either side. But sort of at the end of the race, I found the bottom, which was good on that restart. And yeah, I just didn't think I was going to get a podium. Just lucky a lap car got into Hayden or Clayton. I don't know what happened, but lucky that yellow came out.
Yeah, definitely helped you out there. But we did notice that you were experimenting a bit with the bottom and then the high line in the latter stages of the race. Was it just a case of the bottom being worked too hard and becoming too slick and just electing to move up to the top for the final few laps?
I was waiting for Clayton to actually drive around me again because I knew I'd get a bit of a jump on the start running the bottom because he wouldn't have the momentum. But I thought when he got the momentum, he'd go right by me. But obviously, I think he might have had a bit of damage. So I sort of knew I had to move up or else I was just going to get caught by the cars behind. So, but yeah, I sort of yeah, just happy to get third, I guess.
Yeah, I bet you are. You're 10th in the championship out of round 1 at Volusia, but this podium plus your results earlier on in the night certainly putting you in good standing for a shoot up the points with a lot of drivers who were ahead of you having bad races tonight.
Yeah, I sort of screwed up my quali lap at Volusia, which sent me back quite a bit the whole night. So sort of just happy to get a fair amount of points tonight instead of, yeah, screwing up my lap again, starting at the back.
Oh, well, a good result anyway, Harry. Before we let you go, anyone that you'd like to thank, any shout-outs or sponsors?
Just like to thank everyone at United, Sim Sports, Valvoline, Too Easy Finance, West End Mazda, Paramedize Suzuki, Ultimate TV, Origin Graphics, Adrad Radiators, Brady and Bob for putting this on, and you guys for broadcasting.
Thank you very much, Harry Stewart, your third place man in the feature here at Eldora. Next up is, what Jay has told me is quite an experience. David Heileman, our feature winner, joining us in the commentary box. Congratulations, David. You happy with that victory?
There's a little bit of a sour taste of it just because, what happened just before that, kind of was that last yellow, but with Hagen and, Tilly, would have rather raced those guys, but kind of felt like we gave away last week, so it's nice to come back and kind of shore up a few things this time.
Well, just take us through that incident that happened between you guys in the top 3, because it looked like a little bit of contact between yourself and I believe it might have been Hartigan. I'm not quite don't quite remember. Sorry.
I was really good in the middle part of the race, not really good start or finish, but yeah, we just got to that lap traffic, and I saw Tilly was going to slide Hagen, so I kind of undercut the corner early just so I could try to come out on the bottom of him because I figured Hagen would cross over, and he did, and he came down into me because he probably didn't expect me to be down there, and it was just hard racing.
Yeah, it was Hayden Cardwell there. My apologies. Made that mistake a couple of times tonight, but still, David, with an excellent run from you in the final few laps, you certainly seem to have the edge when it came to pace when the track got slick.
Yeah, I don't know what it was really early. I about spun out throwing a slider on some guy, but thanks to whoever that was, that lifted big time. And then, yeah, we were just able to get up to third. And then it was just like, it just seemed like once we burned off a little bit of fuel, I just was able to finally click a few good laps. And we were both chasing down for the league, and we were getting the lap traffic. And I was like, probably knew the race was going to be won or lost in that. And we were able to get through.
You certainly were, and with this feature win, plus your good result in Heat 2, taking the win from a 4th place start, that's going to put you in good standing in the drivers' standings, certainly considering that Berkeley, Hobson, Hardigan, Clark, and Maloney all finishing behind you, with Richie McLeod also suffering some issues. So a good points haul.
Yeah, it's good to know. I don't know how many races, try to make all the races, but, just being it's 6 a.m. my time when they start, we don't know if we'll hit them all, but yeah, it's always nice to, it's still a goal. We don't know if we'll be able to run every race though. So.
Oh, I certainly hope that we'll be able to talk to you again at some point during this season, David. Before we let you go, any shout-outs that you want to give? Who gets it done for you?
Yeah, just Down Under Graphics, all the boys at Slick and SimSpeed for putting it on, and any Hylomaniacs that stayed up and or woke up and watched this race and was cheering me on.
Shout out to the Hylomaniacs. That's David Heileman, your feature winner here tonight at Eldora Speedway. It looks like Lewis Hewitt will not be joining us here tonight. It's a shame. I was looking forward to chatting to him about his fight through to 2nd place and staying in that top group the whole way through. But I guess, Jay, that brings to an end proceedings for tonight for round 2 of the ASC Championship at Eldora. I'm fired up for the rest of the season now.
100% me as well. It's going to be an awesome season. And next week, we head to Williams Grove. So 2 polar opposite tracks back to back, which is I think that's best when we've got it like that, because if you've got tracks that are similar, makes it a little bit less exciting. The guys have really got to refocus and put in a bit of work this week to get the setups right and get the cars handling for next week. Looking forward to it.
Yes, indeed. You'll be able to catch that next round, same time, same day, next week, same place, here on the SimSpeed channel, on YouTube and on Twitch as well. We want to thank SM Sim Sport for their support of this series. We want to thank Bob King and Brady Baldwin at Oceanic Dirt Sim Events for putting this whole thing on in the first place. And we want to thank all of you, the viewers, for joining us on this wild ride around Eldora Speedway. What are the next rounds going to bring? It is anyone's guess. From all of us at SimSpeed TV, I've been Reese Gardner and Jay Kennedy. With me in the commentary box and on cameras, it's bye for now, but not forever.
This is fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got tracks and he's going around the outside of both of them. Maloney!
Oh, he's taken Anderson. Anderson's up to
Oh my God! Oh, big crash! Oh my goodness, half the field's going to get rolled.
Second very close. These guys are going to want to make their way through the field very quickly. Oh, here we go. Oh no! That's massive! This is it! This is over! I can't believe this! Oh my God!
God, what?